Well, good morning.
Good morning.
Good. How are we today? All right. I think my mic's on a little bit loud. Could you turn it down a little bit, please? All right. So Moses and Jesus came down to a golf course. They decided to play a nice friendly game against each other. And they set up, Moses took his first swing and just straight down the middle, coasting through the sky. It was beautiful. It bounced right next to the little flag. Jesus stepped up. He said, "Now watch this." His swing and just shanked it off to the side into the woods. So they went over into the woods. They went digging through the leaves. They found the ball. Moses said, "Hey, man, listen. Why don't I just give you a new ball? We can go back to the start of the course. I won't tell Muhammad. I won't tell anybody. It'll be just fine." Jesus said, Tiger Woods could make this shot. Pulled back again, took another shot, shanked it again, this time into the tool shed. Moses said, "Really, look, I've got a ball for you right here. We'll just, no, I'm not going to write this down. Nobody's going to know." Jesus said, They went to the tool shed. Jesus got into the tool shed and said, "Yeah, Tiger Woods could make this shot." He pulled back a little bit, swung it, and into the lake. So they walked over again after the ball. Jesus walked out onto the surface of the water, and he was standing there. He was looking for his ball under the water. Moses was just standing there. A couple other golfers came up and said, "Who does that guy think he is? Jesus Christ?" Moses said, "He thinks he's Tiger Woods." Well, welcome to our service this morning. The topic of today's sermon is going to be winning. And I'm going to, in the course of the sermon, I'm going to talk about some sports and some games. And I've got to tell you right now, I am not an athlete, and all of my personal sports stories are just pathetic and humiliating. So I'm going to tell some personal stories. Some of these stories might seem kind of unbelievable, but they're true stories. And some of them are going to be sad stories. But, part of the way that I heal from humiliation is to turn it into humor. So when I'm sharing some stories during my sermon today, I want you to know I am recovered. I'm okay. These stories are being told for entertainment purposes only. And if I look out and I see people looking like, "Oh, that's so sad. Oh, this poor guy," then I'm just really going to feel like I've lost. So I'm going to tell some stories. I think the stories are funny. That's what's important. All right. Welcome to this place which we make holy by our presence. These doors are open to all. Bring your brokenness and your personal glow, your fatigue and your energy, your vulnerabilities and your strengths, your fears, anxieties, loves, and hopes. For here you need not hide, nor pretend, nor be anything other than who you are and who you are called to be. Come into this place where the ordinary is sanctified, where the human is celebrated, where compassion is strength. Welcome to this place. Together, we make it a holy place. Please join me for the words of the chalice lighting. They are printed inside of your leaflet. May the light we now kindle inspire us to use our powers to heal and not to harm, to help and not to hinder, to bless and not to curse, to serve you, Spirit of freedom. Now please stand if you're able for hymn 361, Enter, Rejoice, and Come In.
Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Open your ears to the song. Open your ears to the song. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Don't be afraid of some change. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be. Enter, rejoice, and come in.
As I think everyone here is well aware, we take a special time in our Sunday morning service every week to give each person here the opportunity to share with the rest of us here any special joys or sorrows that you may have. This is an important thing, and I'd like to invite you to take a few minutes to consider, to meditate, to pray, I guess if you want to, whatever might be your way of trying to settle yourself into a system where you're willing to share with the other people here special moments for you, whether they're sad or joyful. So let's take that moment of silence together first. So if anyone has a joy or a sorrow that you'd like to share with the rest of the people here today, now is the time to do that. Step up and use the microphone, please, so everyone can hear you properly. And if you choose, you can take a candle and light it, place it in the baptismal font.
So I have a sorrow and a sort of a joy. One of my staff, who's been with me for close to 30 years, her youngest brother, who has multiple sclerosis and is handicapped, his wife died yesterday from metastatic pancreatic cancer. They have two small children who are in middle school, and he's not really able to take care of them. He's only got the use of his left arm and not his right arm. And so it's a very difficult time for her family, and I promised her I would light a candle in her sister-in-law's honor. And then on a lighter note, if you can consider this a lighter note, as a veterinarian, I am involved in euthanizing lots of animals because they don't live that long. And this last week, I euthanized a dog for the person who put the handicapped toilet in my parents' bathroom. And he did that as a favor to me because I did surgery on his previous dog and we bartered. Well, we put his dog Plunger he's to sleep. And I got something in the mail day before yesterday. And it was a picture of his dog Plunger, who was a retriever, and he entered in retriever trials. And it's a picture of his dog carrying a pheasant in his mouth. And all I can say is, I have more pictures of dead animals that clients send me. I don't know what they think I'm going to do with these things, but it's nice that they felt that I should have.
Hi, my name's Ellen Bird. I am visiting here from Wichita, Kansas, from the Unitarian Universalist Church of Wichita. And I have been coming two blocks down here on Park Place for over 72 years. And I did not realize that this church was here. My great-grandfather lived on Park Place at 740. Built the house, and we came there all my childhood, and I've been back many times since. I was going out for a walk the other day, and I had a postcard to mail. Normally I walk down the other side of the street, or I go down to the aquarium and go across that way if I'm walking to the falls. I had a postcard to mail to a friend at the Unitarian Universalist Church. So I came across the street and walked down to the post office. As I came across the street, I saw your sign out front. I thought, oh my goodness, this church has been here since 1921. I've been going to that house since 1951. My grandfather built the house in 1914, and here you are. So, of course, I had to stay and come visit you guys this morning. So, I'm so excited.
That's a remarkable story. Yeah, please come again. You don't realize how close you are to this church, really. One of the key founders of the church lived on the same street that you live on, apparently, that you're on, and you're really very close, aren't you? Are there any other joys or sorrows?
Yes, we have Francie on Zoom.
Hello, Francie.
You're muted, Francie.
Okay, there I am. I'm celebrating my 81st birthday tomorrow, October 30th. Yay! Thank you.
Yeah, I've been instructed to give you a happy birthday from the whole congregation. Who is this guy?
Just thought I'd let you all know, got an early release from the Gotham City Prison for good behavior. Quack, 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 quack. Oh, and happy and safe Halloween, everyone.
If Peter will put in a candle for me, I'd like to have a joy in that we had Desi and Hector with us for so long this year, and sort of a sorrow because they're leaving, I believe, tomorrow to go back to their home in New York City. But it's been a joy to have them.
Anyone else with a joy or a sorrow you'd like to share? If that's the case, the next item on the agenda this morning is the collection or the offering, which we will be accompanied by our musician as she plays the offertory. However, I'd like to point out to you that the last hymn we sang, Enter, Rejoice, and Come In, has the fourth verse that seems to be very appropriate to our offering. So take a look at it. If you're not going to look at it, I'll tell you what it says. Don't be afraid of some change.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind. Giving life the shape of justice, roots Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
About a month ago, I took my daughter, Connor, to what looked like a theatrical event, but turned out to be a live game show. So she and I sat in the audience. Two volunteers got summoned onto the stage. They played a sock-tossing game. The winner got a round of applause and returned to her seat. The loser got hit in the face with a cream pie. But then it turned out he was part of the show, and it was all in good fun. They needed more volunteers. I shrank in my seat. But Connor tugged up my sleeve upward, and it was a cute gesture. So when they pointed at me, I went up there with three other guys who I'd never seen before. We stood at one end of the stage, and they put some pies on the floor at the other end of the stage. Then they told us what the challenge was. Each pair of guys had to do a human wheelbarrow across the stage. The lower guy had to dig a cherry out of a cream pie with his teeth, wheelbarrow back, spit it in a cup, then switch positions and do it again. I was shocked and appalled and horrified. I had not the chance to process this horror before my partner, this 300-pound dude, turned, got down into push-up position, kicked his legs up into the air. I grabbed his ankles and hurried across the stage, made it there and back. Next thing I knew, I was running with my hands where my feet should have been. I dug my jaw into that pie, picked up a cherry, we turned around, and as we neared the cup on the other side of the stage, my arms went out. That was that. I pushed against the floor, my bones had turned into rubber. There was nothing my elbows could do to keep my chin off of that floor. So I pulled my feet loose, crawled the last few feet to the cup, and spit the cherry into it. Even behind a mask of cream pie, I still wanted to lose with some dignity. Stupidly, I had calculated that the worst thing that could happen was getting hit in the face with a pie. But it turns out there is something worse. Hitting a pie with your face, upside down, with some big bearded guy holding your ankles in the air. But that was only worse, not worst, which was having your arms collapse on a stage with your daughter in the audience. The thought of the shameful walk back to the seat next to hers was a hard one, but it turned out more surprises were in store. They didn't let me go back. They declared my team the winner, even though we had so pathetically lost. The other two guys got to go back to their seats, while my team was stuck up there for another challenge. Fortunately, a less messy one, which we completed in 16 seconds against a 30-second timer, I think because both of us wanted so badly to get off that stage. We got a round of applause. They gave us each an envelope that turned out to be empty. But I'm keeping that empty envelope because, yes, I get up and do silly things in front of people all the time, and I get full envelopes. But I don't think I've ever suffered for an envelope the way I did for that empty one. It was a painful, humiliating, and emasculating experience, followed by the traumatic experience of having to sit there through the rest of the show, unable to escape the scent of defeat, which smelled like marshmallow fluff, which was still in my nostrils. Had I known, I would have cut my nostril hair that morning. And then the walk back to the car with my 15-year-old daughter. So was it noticeable that yes, it was painful. Like it looked painful or it was painful to watch? Both, she said. Kids say the darndest things. But I also felt like I deserved it because a dad shouldn't crash and burn in front of his daughter, or whatever the cream pie version of burn is, like crash and fluff. But then she said something totally bizarre. But hey, you won. Really? That crushing failure was a win? That violent wrenching away of manhood was a victory? Do I measure masculinity by the ability to walk on your hands with pie on your face? I had never asked myself that question before. But it turns out, yes. Yes, I do. What is manhood? Who knows? But we all know it's somehow tied up in doing reckless things for a bloodthirsty crowd. So I guess maybe I've solved the mystery of what manhood is, and it's time to start thinking of myself as something else. Anything else, sky's the limit. Anything except a man or a wheelbarrow. Winning. I know what winning is. It's got nothing to do with your opponent. It's about challenging yourself to surpass your limits. And I met my limit on that floor. Or maybe I exceeded it by not walking off the stage when they said wheelbarrow, and by not walking off the stage after my arms gave out, and by smiling and nodding for another 1,000 hours or however long they kept me on stage after the crash. And if that's a win, then my victory speech has got to include a shout out, to the cruel teenagers who ridiculed and body shamed me when I was overweight in middle school. Because without that training, I'd never have been able to smile and nod after getting so humiliated. I usually think of winning as having a good time. Like if you've had a good time playing, if you've enjoyed the company of the people you're playing with, then it's a victory regardless of who won or lost. Whoever can smile at the end of the game and forget who won 20 seconds after it's over, that person is a winner. And anyone who can't shut up about it and get on with their life is a loser, even if what they can't quiet down about is how badly they beat you. Sometimes the cost of winning is more than anything that's there to be won. Like if I have to sacrifice fun to win, then it's not play anymore, it's work. And if I have to sacrifice courtesy and chivalry to win, then I feel like I've lost a lot more than I can gain. I bet we've all had the experience before when somebody says, let's pull out the old Monopoly board. And suddenly your progressive, generous, compassionate friend has become a miserly slumlord. Or when someone says, let's make it interesting, and next thing you know, they've got your $5. Like, yeah, thanks, that was interesting. I love playing games. I like a close, well-matched game where I can really do my best. I would rather lose by an inch than win by a mile. One of the most comical experiences I had this summer wasn't really mine. The kids and I were at a park playing bocce ball, trying to land the big colored ball near the little white one. And a couple of black women laid out a picnic blanket and they sat there and they just stared, wide-eyed in disbelief, like anthropologists watching the strangest, wackiest custom of some primitive people. And I had like an ESP out-of-body experience while being watched playing this game with my kids. So, this is what white dads do with their children? Well, technically, I'm only half white. You stand still and you roll this little ball, and then you try to roll these other balls so that they'll stop. Yeah, it's a game of managing, control of muscle and emotion. And you just stand there. Yes, we just stand there. And when that little boy tries to run after the ball, you tell him to get back behind the line. It's not a running game, but it is a game, right? Look, I get it. It's not basketball. It is the opposite of basketball. It's what middle-aged bookworms teach their kids so that when I'm old, I can still do something with a ball and call it a game. That conversation didn't happen, except inside of my head. But really, I felt bocce ball is a good way to teach the basics of gameplay, how to wait your turn, how to keep focused while other players are doing well, how to win and lose like a man, how to lose like an Englishman. But yeah, to these women, it was just eye-popping ridiculous. I know there are some kids for whom sports are the only hope, the only way to get into college, the only way out of a rough neighborhood. Their dads wake them up at 6 a.m. and get them out there to learn how to win. And I want to teach my kids how to lose the game and still have fun. How to look the opponent in the eye and say, good game, and really mean it. I teach my kids board games, a dreary process, since a kid who doesn't win the game the first 9 times they play is invariably going to say, I don't like this game, I'm no good at it. My favorite games are team games, euchre and cornhole, because winning and losing are both more fun with a partner. But team sports have always terrified me. A hockey coach once said to me, if you don't get your act together, these guys are going to eat you alive. I think I was 7 or 8, and I really thought he meant it literally. Like they were going to chop me up with their skates and rip me to pieces with their teeth right there on the bench. So I was more scared of my teammates than I ever was of the other team. That's how team sports have always been to me. For several years, I was the worst player on a baseball team. And all the other guys on the team would treat me like dirt. In every game, I got 2 innings in the outfield and once up at bat, and I always struck out. Well, the last baseball game I ever played was a playoff game at the end of 8th grade, when the other team showed up and didn't have enough players. So the coach said that we were automatically going to go to the next round of the playoffs unless someone volunteered to play for the other team. And I raised my hand and I said, hey, if someone goes over there, does he get to play all 9 innings? So I went to the other bench, played the whole game, caught a fly ball, got my first hit and my first run. It was the winning run of the game. It turned out the only team in the league that I really cared enough to beat was my own, since they were the only ones who had really been mean to me. And because it was a playoff game, my team was finished. I ended the season for them. And on that victory, I retired from youth sports. I know it's not a really good sports story, like it's not a great team story, but I felt like this sermon needed a win in it somewhere, and that's the only one that I can clearly remember. Well, it's been a month now since that game show, the nightmarish humiliation of collapsing on that stage. And in that time, I've added an upper body workout to my usual treadmill exercise. I felt like a loser that night, and now I feel more like a winner because I've challenged myself to get into better shape. The next time I find myself in the audience of a game show and one of my kids tugs my sleeve up for me to volunteer, I will have the physical fortitude to keep my hand firmly planted on the armrest of that chair. I am going to do push-ups until wild horses could not drag me onto a stage again. And that is how I'll win. Please stand if you are able for hymn 131, Love Will Guide Us. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us,
will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us in the hard nights. If you cannot sing like the angels, speak before thousands, you can give from deep within you. You can change the world with your love. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way. Greed to giving, love will guide us through the hard nights.
Do we have any announcements today? Please.
We've had these Thanksgiving dinners in the past, and I thought we might try one this year. I have a sheet here on Thanksgiving Day. It'll be a traditional turkey dinner downstairs. I have a sheet here for people to sign up on a number that they're going to bring and what they'd like to bring with them, and some possible volunteers. Whoops.
Oh.
Sorry. I'm not trying to be dramatic. But if anybody's interested and they have any questions, please let me know. Make sure that other people that aren't here today know about it in case they're interested. I thought about 2 o'clock, but we can always change that. So I'm just going to put this in the back in the narthex for anybody that doesn't have family living close enough that they can share the dinner with them. Thank you.
Okay. I just want to say it's been wonderful the past 2 weeks being here with you all. You know how much we all love you. So yeah, we are going home tomorrow. But I have to tell you about 2 shows. I spend a lot of time at Castellani Art Museum. It's one of my hangouts. I also got my baccalaureate from NU, so it's a special place for me. Anyway, there's 2 terrific shows. One is called The Highwaymen, and it's about 26 artists from southern Florida who did these amazing paintings, mostly in oils, but they weren't allowed to exhibit them because they were Black. So they sold them from outside the trunk of their cars, or they would set up roadside stands with their paintings. This is one of them. I'm going to leave this downstairs so you can get a look at it. It's really a beautiful show. And then the other one is Knowing Land, which is a native show. And one of my favorite artists and friends exhibits there, Irwin Printup. And I was just going around looking at all the artwork, and I was so drawn to this one. I didn't realize it was the cover of it, but it was a corn husk wreath, and then it has 7 little beaded horns, stalks of corn. And Irwin gave me a little beaded stalk of corn years and years ago, because I always try to go to the Tuscarora National Picnic every year. Anyway, it's 7 little beaded horns, and it represents the 7 generations. And I don't know if you know, one of the tenets of Native thought is that when you plan things, when you think about what you're going to do, whether it's a city project or whatever, planting your corn, you should be thinking 7 generations ahead. And you're not even going to be alive 7 generations ahead. But the whole idea that you would consider that is just a very beautiful concept to me. So if you get a chance, the museum is free, and it's open, I think, Wednesday through Sunday.
I would like to announce that a half hour from now, at 12:15, I'll be teaching an adult education session about, this will be the first of a 2-part series about the history of Israel, and we'll be talking about Canaan as it was at the beginning of the biblical period, and then we'll be talking about the early history of Israel and kind of this piece of land that has been so problematic. And then in the next session in 2 weeks, we'll be talking about the beginning of Palestine and kind of how some of the elements of how this conflict has come together. So for those of us, I know that we hear these words a lot, and it is such a hopeless tangle, and it's such a messy history. But what I'm going to do in these adult ed sessions is just kind of give a very brief overview of some of the roots of these conflicts. So I hope that you will join us for that in a half hour. All right. And we are going to be talking about it, and it's a serious topic. But I don't know. this ancient history, we'll be talking about it briskly and not in a real mournful way. So the object here is just to kind of have an impartial view of some of this history. Together, we have sanctified this space. If you have found strength and comfort here, share some out there. They need it. Remember that you are blessed and you are a blessing and you are not alone. Please join me for the words of extinguishing the chalice, which are printed inside of the leaflet. We extinguish this chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
So I was invited last year to sing at St. Mary's of the Cataract on Sunday evenings and Mondays. And I don't know when I first noticed this shrine. It might have been early summer, but there's a picture of maybe a 6 or 7-year-old boy with all the candles at the side of the road that I pass by each time I ride my bike there and then back home. And recently I was looking at this TV show. It's a series called Dollhouse. And this song was played. I don't even remember what the scene was, but it sort of fits. And it's also Halloween, so I thought I should share a ghost story. And also, it's sort of in remembrance of all the people who have lost their lives this week. The devil that you know is better than the one you don't, and so it goes. Like lonely ghosts at a roadside cross, we stay because we don't know where else to go. The places are old haunts, they miss us when we're gone. We can never, never move on. Like lonely ghosts at a roadside cross, we stay because we don't know where else